What is going on, Governor? It's Chisgule here, and today we're playing Ark of Osiris League. This is the round of 16 to make it into the Elite 8. If you like Rise of Kingdoms videos where we show you the end game for Ark of Osiris League, you should like and subscribe, because not only are we pushing this end game, we are also a sponsored creator with Rise of Kingdoms. My friends, this battle was intense. We're playing on our iPhone 11 Pro in this particular battle, and that's in part because of the stability afforded by that device. Really unusual for it to crash. And at the start of this battle against NCB, who, by the way, were our KVK allies, they were really like the best you could get in an ally. They were amazing every step of the way, fought incredibly hard. So I would argue this is a battle among friends. They really are a very, very impressive group, which also makes this matchup a little bit terrifying because we know they are a very impressive group. So we knew this matchup going in was not going to be particularly easy because NCB is such a talented group of players. The other thing that I honestly have no explanation for is we started this match with 24 out of 30 players, which was incredibly alarming. And I don't have a great answer for why that happened, but I'll tell you this. That's not going to happen again. Oh boy, there will be words. So 24 out of 30 players at the start of the match for us. This is dangerous. It's dangerous because we're down a full 30 marches, 5 marches per player, and we're talking, every player on our roster here is full T5. So this is not good. This is really not good. We send our marches out into the field, into the start, with the intention of being able to teleport because we are one of the rally leaders for the White Tigers. By the way, this footage you're watching is at 2x speed. And here you can see I'm inspecting. I'm like, WTF, we have 24 players. And I'm talking a lot on voice with my alliance members. I'm going to have that muted for this portion so that I can walk through just what I was thinking through each of the stages of the battle. And this also, by the way, was cast on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, which was pretty exciting to watch. Okay, so at the start of the match, standard fare, right? Everybody's rallying obelisks. You rally your own, you rally the enemies, they rally yours, they rally their own. Standard stuff. What I didn't expect in this first part of the match was how successful we might be with our offensive, with King of Armenia and I at the tip of that spear. In fact, actually, that's not even fair to say. It was the players that launched the rally on the enemy obelisk. And I'm using this word enemy, I should refrain. On NCB's obelisk that really do the bulk of the work. That's a rally that travels down the field and then you cancel it, potentially before it even hits the target. In this case, I think they actually go all the way to the obelisk of NCB, rally it, and capture it, which is pretty remarkable. So I've got my armies parked by these two structures because I can't go very far forward. If I go too far forward and I can't put my marches in a structure, then I can't teleport. So I'm just here to make sure that these structures, which should belong to us, do in fact to be converting over, or they do end up converting over to be our own. And then I can teleport forward, easy peasy. I've also got my infantry in King of Armenia's rally, which made it to our obelisk. So the 3 marches that I have on the field will all be in structures. And I do notice some players are coming for me at this point, but they're too far away for that to be a serious problem. So now you can see I'm hitting the attack button. I also attempt to drag and drop. The drag and drop doesn't actually work. You have to, I think, attack to get in most cases. I don't know. There we go. We make our way in. And now we teleport up next to KOA, and we're ready for action. We retreat our infantry that we're going to use for our rally back to our city. We fill King of Armenia's rally with troops as well. And it's just a filler march. I expect it to go into his rally and stay into the structure. Either the rally will lose and they all die off, or they end up in the structure and they stay there until it's ultimately defeated. But I'm not putting my best commanders, I should say, into those rallies for a reason, right? I'm not putting them in there for a reason. As a rally leader, I've really got to have all the tools in my toolbox available for when I might need them. I got to be able to launch a rally. I got to be able to launch a rally with the commanders I want to launch with. So now we do go forward and launch rallies. We're starting with infantry onto the Shrine of Life. And we're going to get plenty of support. We've got an Ethelfled moving down the field to support this rally. We're going to be a little late with our Ethelfled, but that's okay. We're still going to arrive to party and do some pretty serious work. We actually have a new build for our Ethelfled that we're going to put probably in a video for tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. It is much better, actually. It is much better for a lower level Ethelfled, even. So we'll talk all about that. Simple thing. So now our rally has launched. We also send our cavalry forward to go and support something downfield, whether that's swarming a structure or battling in the open field, to be determined, but we're going to put on the pressure. And I think we, for a moment, we're going to go over to the Sky Altar because it was getting rallied, and we wanted to make sure that we could support it. So we pause by that structure just to make sure that we can support if needed. Now you can see here a bunch of Ethelfleds doing some work on that structure. There's actually advantage to having multiple Ethelfleds on that part of the field, which is that, okay, so if the buffs land at the exact same time, or rather the debuffs, then they don't stack, but they probably are just going to be staggered. So you may as well have them staggered. I think that's fine. Here I realize that, wait a minute, my Ethelfled is in the structure. I'm going to put my less amazing commanders into the structure, get my Ethelfled back on the battlefield, and we're going to go put some pressure on the Ark of Osiris, which at this point, NCB actually was in position to fully control. I was pretty pleased to see that Mex is supporting this rally with an Ethelfled and other troops, and also that it was successful. So now we launch an all-cavalry rally. We're going to be way behind King Talib, who is already on his way over there to swarm it. But he's going to soften it up. We're going to follow it up with some pretty serious cavalry rally action. And if you saw in my recent video, hopefully I remember to put the card up in the top, we crafted the epic gloves recently that offer 3% of cavalry, I think, defense and health. Maybe it's attack and defense. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But we also have the special talent on those, so it's 4% of each stat. We're feeling pretty good about the gear on our cavalry at the moment for our rally lead. Feeling really quite strong about that, sort of squeezing out of that army the most that we possibly can. There are a few more optimizations we could do, but at this point in the battle, we are honing in on this Temple of Osiris, applying some pressure with our Ethelfled, who is perfect for this part of the battlefield because the AoE is just insane. We've got Barca as the secondary, so his AoE is going to be just insane. We've got our calves show up to party, and we do go to pick up the Ark because we saw an opening for that. Nobody else was doing it. So we're going to now try to run our cavalry through all that crazy. There's no way we're going to make it, but at least we start to move this Ark in the right direction, which was my intention. Now, because we didn't have a ton of players here swarming the area, I was very targetable, which meant that I dropped pretty quickly, but I still feel pretty good about moving the Ark in the right direction. That matters a whole heck of a lot. Our cavalry rally is on its way, and we get a quick peek and see that the altar that is on NCB's side of the battlefield, we still have ownership of, which felt pretty strong about that position. And look at this. We realize that it's archers on the defense, and we are doing work on that defense right up until this player comes on in and swarms the rally down, which was a really great play on their part. And they do also join into the structure, which was a solid reinforcement from this player. Really good play on their part. We now look up to the Ark, which is still really contentious. In Discord at this point, we're making a lot of noise about getting there. And we're arguing that you should get there in favor of supporting other things like that altar, which is in trouble. We made the call that the Ark was the more important thing to be focused on. And I think we will lose that altar in just a moment. Due to the lack of other stuff to rally, I decide to rally the obelisk. In hindsight, I probably should have just waited a moment longer and rallied the altar, which was likely to convert to NCB, but I feel fine about that. We're going to have a bunch of archers charge down to that side of the battlefield. As you can see, whole lot of crazy going on in this Ark of Osiris. We still have our infantry commanders, in this case, captaining the structure because we don't know that there were better captains in that Shrine of Life. I really would have loved to have swapped out my troops and sent them home, but there's just not enough marches on the field to be doing all those things. So we left our infantry captains at play at the Shrine of Life on the NCB side of the battlefield. Still, this arc is very contentious. We send yet another Ethelflaed march onto the field to make its way toward the action, and we are hanging on for dear life somehow at that Shrine of Life, although that will not last much longer. In fact, it has converted over at this point. We now use our cavalry to rally, but look at that. Our ally catches nobody in the Shrine of Life, converts it over for half a second, which is pretty cool. Now we rally it. We're sending the cavalry, and I generally feel like infantry or archers are a better rally captain, in part because most folks aren't going to defend with cavalry. So like your archers are basically never going to be countered in a rally, which is pretty good, actually. Kind of matters a lot. Your archers are never going to get countered for the most part. So using cavalry is a riskier play, sort of. I think it just was the captains that I had available at the time to launch a rally, so that's what I used. My archers were elsewhere. My infantry must have been elsewhere, so we used the calves. Calves are also really fast. They're good for that. This structure we try to reinforce. We see here our Ethelflaed is in the structure, but it's going to go down. And we are now fully supporting the center, as best we can anyways, around the Ark of Osiris. And our carrier is thankfully making it toward our side of the battlefield. Here comes the cavalry rally. Hopefully we'll get a good look at that. And there is some swarming going on the altar. Total craziness. It's hard to watch lots of places on the battlefield at a time. You see here we bump up against infantry, and like we either should be using a Saladin instead of a Cao Cao as the secondary, or the thing that we really need to do is to just be sending archers and infantry and focus less on cavalry. We send Ethelflaed back onto the battlefield yet again to go and do some work. We may or may not even make it to this altar to apply those debuffs in time, but this altar was the subject of a whole heck of a lot of contention throughout the duration of this matchup. Now at this point, or at least some point soon, we were checking the rallies to see, like, are some of our structures going to get rallied and how important will defense be? Because we do at one point need to head back and actually defend our own altar to protect it. Our Ethelflaed is making her way across the battlefield here. We decide to launch an archer rally, which I think is a pretty good choice given that they're signaling that they have infantry with the Charles Martel captain. And because everybody's already swarming, including King of Armenia, we're going to send Ethelflaed in to contribute to that sweet, sweet party. Oh my. Oh my. We're not really at all concerned about the number of injured troops that we'll have. The whole point is to get the 30% health, defense, and attack down debuff onto the target, as well as the 25% damage down and 25% defense down offered by Hannibal Barca secondary. Now our rally has launched. Archers are on the way. We send some cavalry along with it to hopefully support. And we also are now supporting another rally. We're deciding which captains we're going to send. It's a cavalry rally. We don't want to send our primary commanders. And this is actually a counter rally. That counter rally, actually, I think might have been a mixed rally. I think it might have been an Ethelflaed mixed rally. Here we are, about to arrive. Rally's going to hit. I also love that our rally is going to offer just a ton of AoE from Yi Song-Ye, doing a ton of damage to all these marches in the open field. And the defense from El Cid is actually super relevant here. As the rally is getting swarmed down, that defense really does help a whole heck of a lot. You can see here, this is looking pretty good, but we send an infantry march to go reinforce because no one else was nearby, at least that we thought. We send it directly. We're technically holding up space that somebody closer could have filled, but technically I don't think they could have made it in. We swap our captains over, and not in time. Not in time to be meaningful. That structure converts to NCB. Here we're a little bit indecisive around where to send our cavalry because there's no point staying over here. This altar is converted, and they've got a ton of support here. So I send my cavalry somewhere else, and I think we're going to rally this again. 1 minute rally. Infantry this time will be the captains. You can see here this defense has gone pretty well. I'm ready to send my troops back, which I think is a thing that I do. There we go. Feel pretty good about that. And the Temple of Osiris is looking mighty spicy. That's going to spawn up in 3.5 minutes, so we send the cavalry over there instead, finally deciding a good place to send them. And we do even turn our infantry back around because there was a swarm on its way over to that structure. We knew that because the structure had been targeted well before the troops were even there. I actually remember looking around being like, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? But they were on their way from the other side of the field. Launching fake rallies, by the way, is kind of a thing. It's like kind of a thing. It's a little distracting, but not that distracting. A really practiced group, that's not going to be an issue. So our infantry are now queuing up to march down the field. We've got our Ethelfled by the Sky Altar to support it, and our cavalry by the Temple of Osiris. I'm really kind of at this point in too many places at once. I would not advise this. However, we were doing okay at this point in the battle with our multitasking, so that is fine. We now decide to fill, I think, another rally. I think that's what we're up to. Yep. We're filling a rally. King of Armenia, I believe, asked for a mix. Oh, no, it's Aeneas. Aeneas asking for a mix for a counter rally. We send those in. And somebody calls out on Discord, hey, like, Chisgule, you're about to get melted. We make our way out of there sort of on time to avoid getting melted and then participate in the action. And here's the rally, which we're conveniently positioned to swarm. As much as possible with our troops, we're operating in a set and forget mindset. We want to put troops somewhere and then not have to pay attention to them. This rally goes particularly well for us. I'm going to send my infantry back home to refill, and suddenly we're going to find ourselves with a lot of marches to work with. This was kind of an exciting moment. Our obelisk happened to be empty, and Nixthor gets into this thing like a second before they would have ninja'd it. Oh my gosh. They almost caught us with our pants down. Pretty funny. Pretty funny, but it worked out. Oh my gosh, it worked out. We're going to send these troops now back home and launch a rally onto this Shrine of Life. We are going to use archers again. I like archers. I like infantry. I also really like cavalry, but the problem with cavalry is that, again, they are all but guaranteed to end up getting countered. Like most defenses are using infantry these days, it seems. So a cavalry rally is pretty risky. I did happen to catch an archer defense and do some serious work on it, but I think that's not terribly likely. The only time I would feel really good about rallying calves into infantry is if you're rocking Saladin in order to counter the healing that's happening there. We get a call out like, hey, Chisgule, can you reinforce this desert altar instead of going to battle in the open field by the Ark of Osiris? So we do hop in there, although it's going to be too little too late, I think, for that particular structure. We're now making our way to the Ark, and this is an Ark that is going to go to NCB. They are going to cap this. So not only are they getting their altar back, but they also are about to capture this Ark, which is going to be a lot of points for them and is going to start to even things up. This matchup really is anybody's game, even though we're in the lead now. When they capture this Ark, which is on its way to getting captured, it's going to be really, really close. I try to keep my cavalry kind of to the outside of all the action here to try to isolate and take down the carrier. I have some amount of success with that. They do end up dying just as I'm about to arrive. And they do pick up this particular Ark and make their way out of that crazy fray. See, I jump out proactively. I'm like, look, I can't be in that craziness. I'm just going to get melted by all the AoE. I got to get out of there. I do send Ethelfled back into the field and am really paying attention. I thought Khan was the carrier here, so I hit the Khan. But as it turns out, it's infantry crawling their way out of that mess, holding the Ark. Would never have seen it. Pretty wild how some of these crazy swarms end up working out. And here our archer rally is successful in taking the Shrine of Life, which is a very strong pickup for us. We fill King of Armenia's rally with some archers, and we are going to launch a rally of our own on their obelisk. At this point, it's pretty well defended, but the pressure generally has been worth, so we're going to keep the pressure on. They now score the Ark, bringing the score to 21,500 to 19,000. And the funny thing is that the structure game for us is going well on our side of the map, but we think that they play the other side heavier. And so that meant that actually we were going to lose this game unless we score the next Ark of Osiris, which is pretty nuts. We know that a rally is on its way now to this desert altar, so we're sort of dancing around nearby, waiting for the rally to hit first, so that then we can follow it up with our Ethelfled, because we don't really want to be taking the skill attack or normal attack or be the primary focus of the damage here. Now that rally from King of Armenia is arriving, and it's going to do some pretty serious work. Our infantry are also en route, and they have a choice to make to defend their obelisk or to defend their altar. I think they're going to go for their altar, which is a pretty good choice, and I doubt we'll actually be able to pick up their obelisk anyways. Pretty sure that we do not. Our Ethelfled is doing some pretty serious work here on this structure. King of Armenia's rally is also in a bad way. I don't think we're going to cap that. Are we? Are we? Oh, I guess we get the desert altar. We get that desert altar by the skin of our teeth, which is pretty wild. We make ourselves captain because we have AoE, but they're putting so much pressure on the darn thing that we get melted. Here we're using our infantry into archers, and I guess I should have sent cavalry again. With a Saladin, even though my Saladin's not expertised. That is a project I'd like to work on. We are still waiting for Wu Zetian, which hopefully will become available to us. We would love to expertise her at the soonest opportunity. And at this point, we realize how critical this next arc is going to be. And we start to send commanders over to the center in order to get involved in that crazy combat over this Ark of Osiris, which is going to be really important. Really important. P.S. This is not chocolate tea today. This is chai tea. This is chai tea. We were at a wedding this weekend, little under the weather at the moment, but still wanted to get this out to you. We're sort of rallying the outpost here. We're being a little cheeky with this. We're thinking, well, if we rally this and we take it, we're either going to distract them from supporting the Ark with only 2 marches from us, or we're going to take it, which, like, either way, that's kind of a win, isn't it? Instead, let's see here. We switch it up. I thought this would be a cool rally, the Ethelfled Barca rally. It does not do well, but that's also in part because we're outnumbered. And I think we will see that unfold on the screen in a few minutes from now, which will be kind of cool to get a peek at. We send our infantry rally captains into the field because we're saying, you know what? The time for rallies has probably ended. We need to make sure that we either cap this arc or prevent them from capping it. And in hindsight, I have mixed feelings about this. It's possible we should have kept the pressure on them for just a little bit longer. I feel like that's possible that was the case. We have a really hard time targeting that army, but we do target it and drop it down. And we sort of choose, like, do we go into the fray or do we go to the side of the fray? I choose to go to the side because I can actually see what the heck is happening. I actually sort of question my choice there. Might do that differently. Here's our Ethelfled rally, which does march really slowly compared to other rally types. And we accept the simplify graphics on this one because it is real dicey. Real dicey. So you can see here we're going sort of even off to the side, which is like sort of relevant, sort of not. And we are pretty soon going to decide to just get back into the main fray because I'm not sure how much we're accomplishing there. This is especially true because we've got our Isong Ye Al Cid army here. And we take our cavalry and we try to do something that I never successfully did all matchup, which is to use my low health cavalry off to the side to potentially pick up an arc and use charge talents to get like away really, really quickly. Here our Ethelfled is about to hit. We notice that Our Alexander the Great finally made it into the action. We're hitting somebody now, hopefully. Hard to tell what's going on with this many armies nearby. The Ark is starting to make its way down toward our side of the field, which is exciting. But you will notice the scores are starting to get closer and closer, which is a little alarming. There we've got our Ethelfled Barca doing some work. I think the problem with the Ethelfled Barca into those really strong infantry captains is that we just don't have the DPS to get through there. Ethelfled Barca is really great to support damage, but not to dish out the damage. Even though it is doing a non-trivial amount of damage, it's not the big DPS or counter type that you'd want. And you'd see here, like, look at all these marches that are dealing with us instead of dealing with this Ark. It's actually kind of remarkable how much of a stall we were able to pull off there with just 2 marches, our march and one other. Here we're entering the part of the match where it's just completely crazy and almost impossible to pick up the Ark. I tried to find it to pick it up, and I just couldn't. I couldn't see it. I couldn't find it, which is a little alarming. I mean, I can find it, but I can't actually tap it to do the thing that I'm trying to do, which is to pick it up. We get a peek around other parts of the battlefield here, selecting our rally captains. I thought for a moment we would rally their Shrine of War and be kind of cheeky and take it. But I end up canceling the rally when our troops are already on the field because it just becomes so obvious to me that really the only thing that matters here is getting the darn Ark. We send our archers into this crazy fray yet again, which is pretty nuts. And pretty soon, we're just going to cut to music to show the rest of this matchup. This matchup is going to go all the way down to the wire, which is kind of insane. We've got a little bit of a breakaway here from one of our alliance members, but it's not going to last for that long. They are going to get knocked down, but it does make a really big difference. King Bob, pretty clutcheteer in that maneuver. Super crucial. And I think overall, there's a couple coordination things I'd be doing in this Ark. 24 out of 30 players at the start of this matchup was a true crisis. So you'd better believe we're going to spend a lot of time and attention with folks to make sure they understand, hey, if you're a backup, it doesn't matter if you're not even one of the backups that's been tapped to play. You are at the starting line ready to go just in case. And we did eventually get our 30, but remember to heal down your hospitals. Remember all your marches have to be in town so you can join. Yeah, those are things. Those are things that everybody needs to do. So hopefully, my friends, you've enjoyed this video. We're going to cut to the music to give you the countdown for this epic battle. Spoiler alert, we are going to advance to the Elite 8. It was by the skin of our teeth. Big thanks to NCB for an intense fight, for being great sports and great allies. Best of luck to everyone and their Ark of Osiris matches. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It really does mean a lot to me as a content creator. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.